I welcome you all back in History Adulan. Today we will be studying 7th standard 3rd lesson, the Delhi Sultanate. Delhi, as we know, this is important administration center of India, capital city of India today. But this Delhi have a long history. Not only present, but even when Britishers were ruling in India, that time Delhi was the capital. Earlier they used to rule from Kolkata, Victoria Palace, then they shifted their capital in Delhi, and even before coming of British, when Mughals were ruling, they also ruled from Delhi, Agra and nearby area. Before that, the sultans who were ruling over here, they also focused on Delhi as their capital. Now, why only Delhi was chosen as their capital? The geographical location of Delhi is such that it is near to the Turkey, Iran and also the Mongols, Afghan and other countries. This Delhi used to connect the trade routes of other parts of India. So that's why all the invaders from Turkey, Iran, Mongols, Afghan, they focused on Delhi. Same time, before Delhi was the important seat of these invaders, who actually started Delhi as their capital, they were Rajputs. The Tomara Rajput, who brought prosperity to this Delhi. This was an important commercial center. At the same time, some Jain merchants, they gave a lot of contribution to this part. They used to mint the coins at this place, and these coins were called Dehliwal. After Tomaras were defeated by Chauhans or the Chahamana Rajputs. From 1175 till 1192, Chauhans remained as the ruler of Delhi. Prithviraj Chauhan was a brave and valiant ruler. He defeated Muhammad Ghori for several times. In the last battle of Tarain in the year 1192, when Muhammad Ghori came back with a huge force and attacked Prithviraj Chauhan was not supported by his allied groups, and that's why he faced a crushing defeat. The Delhi went into the hands of foreign invaders. So let's see how the Sultanate or the Sultans became ruler of Delhi. This is the story about Delhi Sultans. Previous lesson, we studied about the Kaveri Delta region where the large number of kingdoms were arrived. Delhi became an important city only in the beginning of the 12th century with the Tomaras Rajput. And later on it was attacked and invaded by the sultans. To have more clarity about Delhi rulers, let's go through the following chart table. As we discuss Rajput dynasties, Tomaras, Anangapalas, Chauhanas and Prithviraj Chauhan was the last Hindu ruler of Delhi, ruled from 1175 to 1192. Then they were followed by early Turkish rulers. This dynasty was also called a slave dynasty, ruled from 1206 to 1290. Qutbuddin Aibak, who himself was a slave, became the Sultan of Delhi, followed by Shamsuddin Iltutmish. After Iltutmish, there was little clash among whom to make the ruler of Delhi, and Razia, the daughter of Iltutmish, was made queen of Delhi. So, in the Delhi's history, Razia was remarkable as a first woman ruler of Delhi. She ruled from 1236 to 1240. Then the next dynasty followed was Khiljids. Alauddin Khilji was powerful amongst that. Then the Tughlaq, Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq and other, followed by Sayyid dynasty, and last was the Lodi dynasty. And after Lodi's, Mughal rule began in India. Ibrahim Lodi, who was defeated in the first battle of Panipat by Mughal ruler Babur. Those who are fond of cricket must know about Firoz Shah Kotla, which is world's shortest ground in cricket. This Firoz Shah Kotla, the name, the city that is existed today, was built right from the Sultan time. This was also called Firozabad. Besides the Siri, Jahanpana, Dilli I Kunj, Hauds Sultani, Tughlukabad, Adilabad, these are some of the other cities built during the sultans. Now the main question remains how to find about the Delhi sultans. Yes, it is through the inscriptions, coins and architecture. This provides a lot of information. Especially valuable are histories written by Tariq or Tawarikhs. These are the documents and the books written in Persian language. The authors of Tawarikh were learned men. They were the secretaries, administrators, poets, and courtiers who both recounted events and advised rulers on governance, emphasized on the importance of the just rule. In fact, there existed the circle of justice. Now, what is this circle of justice? A king cannot survive without soldiers, and soldiers cannot live without salaries. Salaries come from the revenue collected from the peasants, but peasants can pay revenue only when they are prosperous and happy. This happens when the king promotes justice and honest governance. So, this is a kind of circle in which everyone was dependent. These people also gave social order based on birthright and gender distinction. These authors advise rulers need to preserve these ideals. Now, what is birthright and what is gender discrimination? Privileges claim on the account of birth is called birthright. Example, people believe that nobles inherited their rights to govern because they were born in certain families and it's their right. And gender discrimination or distinction was availed at that time. We are talking about the medieval time and this was what the social order. What is it? Social and biological differences between women and men. Usually, these differences are used to argue that men are superior to that of women. So, this birthright and gender discrimination were promoted by these authors called Tawarikhs. These authors of Tawarikh lived in the cities of Delhi and hardly lived in villages. They often wrote their histories for sultans in the hope of rich rewards. Now, it's very interesting to know how the manuscripts were written and how they were made. They used to go through 4 stages in making of manuscript. 1, preparing the paper, writing the text, melting gold to highlight important words and passages, like how we are using bold highlight in while writing or typing on the computer. And last, preparing the binding. So thus the manuscript was prepared. In 1236, Sultan Iltutmish's daughter Razia became Sultan. The chronicler of the age, Minhaj-e-Siraj, recognized that she was more able and qualified than all her brothers. But he was not comfortable at having a queen as a ruler, nor were the nobles happy at her attempts to rule independently. She was removed from the throne in 1240. On the inscriptions and coins, Razia mentioned that she was the daughter of Sultan Iltutmish. This was in contrast to the Queen Rudramma Devi, 1262 to 1289, or she was from Kakatiya dynasty of Warangal. This was the part of modern day Andhra Pradesh. Rudramma Devi changed her name on her inscriptions and pretended she was a man. Another queen, Didda, ruled in Kashmir somewhat from 980 to 1003 CE. Her title is interesting. It comes from Didi or the elder sister, an obviously affectionate term given to a beloved ruler by her subjects. Sultans had control over Delhi in the early 13th century. Initially, they concentrated their rule only on Delhi's garrison town meaning the fortified settlement with soldiers. These sultans seldom controlled the hinterland of the cities and were therefore dependent upon trade, tribute, or plunder for supplies. Hinterland are the lands adjacent to the city or part that supply it with goods and services. Same time, Delhi's authority was also challenged by Mongols' invasion from Afghanistan and by the governors who rebelled at any sign of Sultan's weaknesses. The Sultanate barely survived these challenges. Its expansion occurred during the reign of Ghiyasuddin Balban, Alauddin Khalji, and Muhammad Tughlaq. These sultans first set off campaigns along the internal frontiers and then on the external frontiers. What is this internal frontier? Sultans aim at consolidating hinterlands of garrison towns. During these campaigns, forests were cleared in Ganga Yamuna Doab. Doab means a region between two rivers, Do meaning two, Ab means region, a region between Yamuna and Ganga. Hunters gatherers, pastoralists expelled from their habitat. These lands were given to the peasants and agriculture was encouraged. New fortresses and towns were established to protect trade routes and to promote regional trade. This was internal frontier. Military expansion into the southern India started during the reign of Alauddin Khalji and culminated with the Muhammad Tughlaq. In their campaigns, Sultanate armies captured elephant, horses, slaves, and carried away precious metals. This was external frontiers. They expanded their rule to the south. If you look into the map of Khalji's rule, then he expanded from Delhi till Tanjore, till Gujarat, Bengal, and Warangal. So almost whole of Indian subcontinent was under the Sultanate. By the end of Muhammad Tughlaq's regime, 150 years after somewhat humble beginnings, the armies of the Delhi Sultanate had marched across the large part of the subcontinent. They had defeated rival armies and sieged cities. The Sultanate collected taxes from peasantry, dispensed justice in its realm. But how complete and effective was its control over such a vast territory? Think. As sultans expanded their rule in most of the subcontinent, same time they concentrated on the spread of Islam religion in India. The Delhi sultans built several mosques in the cities all over the subcontinent. This demonstrated their claim to be protector of Islam and Muslim. They believe sharing belief system and code of conduct. They built several masjids like Quwwat al-Islam Mosque, which was famous as Congregational Mosque, which was first built by Delhi Sultans. Even Begumpuri Mosque, Maut Ki Mosque, and others. Here, congregational mosque, even the Masjid-e-Jami or the Jama Masjid, wherein Muslims read their prayers called namaz together. Members of the congregation choose the most respected learned male as their leader or imam for the rituals of the prayer. He also delivers the sermon or khutbah during the Friday prayers. During prayers, Muslim stands facing Mecca. In India, this is to the west. This is called Qibla. Sultans in India followed the social order of gender discrimination and birthright. But there was a difference in opinion and there was a conflict between new and old nobility. If we think of Muhammad Tughlaq, he ended this social order and also gave opportunity for the common people to be the part of administration. Like Muhammad Tughlaq, he appointed Aziz Khummar, who was a wine distillator, as his minister. Even Firuz Hajjam, who was a barber, Mank-e Tabbak, who was a cook, and two gardeners, Ladha and Pira, were appointed as high administrators in his court. Lands of military commander were called Ikta and their holders were called Iktadar or Mukti. This led military campaigns and collected revenue as a salary for the soldiers. They forced Samantas to accept their authority. Kharaj was the main tax that was collected during sultans in Indian subcontinent. It was 50% of the total produce from the peasants. Taxes were also collected from cattle and the houses. Ibn Battuta, a 14th century traveler from Morocco, Africa, explained that chieftains sometimes fortified themselves in mountains, in rocky, uneven, rugged places, as well as in the bamboo groves. Let's see the administration between Alauddin Khalji and Muhammad Tughlaq. Major differences in administration between Alauddin Khalji and Muhammad Tughlaq. Delhi was attacked twice during Alauddin Khalji. Even Muhammad Tughlaq faced Mongol invasion, but he managed to defeat Mongols. That's why he also raised a large standing army in and around Delhi. Alauddin constructed a new garrison town called Siri in Delhi. Instead of constructing new garrison town, the oldest of the four cities of Delhi was emptied and soldiers were taken into the garrison. Residents of the old city were sent to the new capital of Daulatabad in south. Khaljids, he accepted taxes which were fixed at 50%, while Muhammad Tughlaq also accepted the taxes which used to feed the army, but same time levied additional taxes. During Khaljids, soldiers were paid salaries in cash. During Muhammad Tughlaq, the salaries were also paid in cash, but same time he introduced a token currency somewhat like present day paper currency, but made out of cheap metal, not gold and silver. People in the 14th century did not trust these coins. Alauddin's administrative measures were quite successful and chroniclers praise his reign, while Muhammad Tughlaq's administration was a failure one. His campaign into Kashmir was a disaster. The shifting of people to Daulatabad was resented. The raising of taxes and famine in the Ganga-Yamuna belt led to widespread rebellion. Thus, token currency had to be recalled. Sultans in 15th and 16th century. After Tughlaq, the Sayyid and Lodi dynasties ruled from Delhi and Agra until 1526. By then, Jaunpur, Bengal, Malwa, Gujarat, Rajasthan and entire South India had independent rulers. They established flourishing, prosperous states. Delhi sultans became less powerful, weakened, and there was emergence of new ruling groups from Afghans and Rajputs. Sher Shah Suri started his career as a manager of a small territory of his uncle in Bihar, and eventually challenged and defeated Mughal Emperor Humayun. Sher Shah captured Delhi and established his own dynasty called Suri dynasty. Suri dynasty ruled for 15 years from 1540 to 1555. It introduced an administration that was influenced from Alauddin Khalji and made him more efficient. Emperor Akbar followed his model of administration when he consolidated the Mughal Empire. Elsewhere, three orders: the peace of God, knights, and crusades. This idea of three orders was first formulated in France in the early 11th century. It divided French society into three classes or estates: those who prayed were church or the clergy's first estate. In the second class, those who fought, they were called nobility. Third class, those who tilled the land or the commoners. This three-order division of society was supported by the church to dominate its control in the society. This helped the emergence of new warrior group called knights. Church patronites supported this group and used them to propagate their ideas of peace of God, send them on campaign against the Muslims who had captured the city of Jerusalem. Jerusalem is a city in the Middle East between Mediterranean Sea and the Dead Sea, and is considered as a holy place to three major religions: Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. This led to series of campaigns. So this was what had happened elsewhere when in India the Mughal emperor consolidated power. Same time in France and in Europe, the three order system, the peace of God, knights and people were fighting for crusades. This is all about our lesson Delhi Sultans. We studied how Delhi became a capital of India under several rulers, and for several hundred years this had been an important commercial center and important happenings, historical happenings had happened in our country. I hope you enjoyed this lesson. Stay tuned for the new lessons that will be uploaded on our channel History Edulearn. Till then, goodbye. Have a wonderful day ahead.